So honestly, it doesn't really matter who any of us vote for. Like Joe Biden's gonna lose. Like just to be clear.
Um, so why even run for office under the
Yeah.
Democratic Party's ticket? Why should anybody vote for you if it doesn't matter? Why are you running on our ticket? Why don't
I
you
don't know.
run on
Why
an
should
independent
they?
party? If you don't care for who we
Well, I
choose
can-
as the nominee, how inspiring is that to your constituents? Hey, I don't care about the Democratic Party's leader, but you should vote for me as part of the Democratic Party. We're all on the same team. What are you doing?
Oh, we're all on the same team. I'm not on the same team as Biden. He's a fucking capitalist.
Of course you are.
Why are
He's
you
your
running as a
leader.
And he's not my leader. What are you talking about? Well, in Washington State, you can run under any ticket you want, and I'm pretty open. I'm pretty open in that. I'm just running on the Dem ticket, so there's nothing they can do to stop me. So
Nothing they could do to stop you. That does. I mean, are you going to knock
Yeah.
on doors and say that to people? Like, I mean, you can't hold people.
I mean, I
not
generally-
good rhetorical
I think-
tracks.
the vast majority of people don't really give a shit. I mean, most people will vote for you if they like you and they like your ideas. And frankly, it's an electoral
So-
advantage to run as a Democrat in Washington State, particularly in my district. So, I mean, yeah.
Well, you sound pretty passionate about it.
About what?
About running on the Democratic ticket.
You're
Why
literally
not just
talking
run?
to a
I mean-
room full of people who give a shit. That's just
Yeah.
that's really
Well, like I guess.
Well,
guess
yeah.
like,
I mean, we are
But
in
it
the
just
small
seems kind of
minority.
apathetic.
I mean, apathetic. No,
Yeah.
I'm running for office. I mean, what are you talking about?
so why do you still continue to believe in Sanders, and what's your position on socialism? Because you call yourself a
Well, it's
socialist.
Well, it's not that I believe in Bernie. I don't know if Bernie's going to be the nominee. I still think like
But you
Joe
believe in his
Biden should
policies.
drop out.
though.
He's a
You believe in his
What's that?
policies, though, don't you?
of course.
what are your policies as a socialist?
So like his policies compared to Biden's,
I mean,
like
which
if you
one?
want to compare like Biden side by side to Bernie, they do overlap the Venn diagram and share some things. So like
I think
so,
it's
like-
important to point out like I mean this is why it's kind of all irrelevant anyway. Joe Biden is going to lose in the general
That was
election. I mean,
policy
frankly, he's just going to lose.
a lot of Americans vote
I
on
mean-
policy. Like
Oh,
communist-
yeah.
Why is he going to lose?
like
Why is
how
he
He's
gonna
going to
lose?
lose
how is
because
policy
Donald
irrelevant
Trump is
here?
going to fucking dog walk him. Obviously.
I asked a very
Like,
legitimate question a few seconds ago. What are your policies
sorry.
as a socialist? You are a candidate. What are your policies as a
Yeah.
socialist?
I mean, what do you mean specifically? Like, I got a lot of
I
policies.
can say what I
don't
believe
know,
in
like
as a communist.
I
Can
mean,
you
I
say
support
what you
Medicare for
believe in as
all,
a socialist.
I
believe in like
what
ending
specifically do you want me to
imperialism,
talk
the
about?
dissolution of the state. What do
Wait,
you
what's
let's-
if you could enact 3 major policy
I-
overhauls today in the United States? What would like the top 3 be? Would be a question.
Green New Deal. That also includes a federal jobs guarantee, Medicare for all. I don't know, living wage, federal rent control. I don't know. Like I've got over 230 policies in my platform.
So what are your what are the things? Okay, so like when you're trying to talk to voters, like in a party setting, or when you're trying to like, okay, so like if I like door knock, or if I talk to people about the PSL, or like any sort of like super rad left organization, I still have to talk
Yeah.
to people about policy. Like, what am I going to bring to the table that the other people can't bring? So 3 core policies. If I were an undecided nerd like Johnny, who like doesn't know anything about politics, and you wanted to say socialism, I love it. Can you do that? Can you like deliver that line? Because I mean, I'm the tanky bitch, and I can do that. So I want to hear, because we actually have a lot in common on policy. But I really want to I want to know where your lines are, so I can help like talk this debate with you and these other people.
Yeah. Well, I don't know where like my policy is relevant to like Joe Biden. Like I don't know.
Because
That's,
we're
like,
establishing a
precedent.
conversation.
that's
We're
a-
establishing a conversation that sets political.
I was planning on going around and clarifying everybody else's stuff, but like, to be fair, you're the candidate in the room.
Yeah, like you
Yeah.
actually ran. Like, you know, my girlfriend has ran for candidacy in election, and she can
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I was in beauty pageants 7 years ago, and I've heard excellent things come out of their mouths, and they're not running for office.
So Joshua, you said that you're running in the Democratic Party because you feel like it's the most advantageous position. Do you feel like Bernie Sanders and do you feel like Donald Trump and Biden are too similar for you to make a different vote?
So I mean, first of all, I am in Washington. I'm not telling anyone else who to vote for. I'm just saying I'm not voting for Biden. I live in a state where, frankly, he's not gonna lose anyway. But honestly, I think he's an awful person, and don't want to vote for him.
If you tell people not to vote for Biden, aren't you discouraging people that might go out and be like, let's say there are people that are fans of yours and they'll go out and vote for you. By telling them not to vote for Biden, aren't you like dissuading some people from going out to vote and then do the down ballot voting, which would actually vote for you? Like, aren't you actually decreasing your own voter base by telling your own constituents not to go to the ballot box and vote for Biden because some of them just won't show up?
I'm not telling people not to go to vote. They can vote for.
Well, but some percentage of them probably aren't going to vote at all. Like, yeah, I'm not going to vote or whatever, and then they don't vote down ballot, and you're literally only hurting yourself by saying that.
Website, you have a lot of policy positions on there. You do. So I mean, I understand where you're coming from.
That's why it was weird when you guys are like, "What policies do you believe in?" Like, I literally have.
Well, it's weird because my guess is if I were to bet money, I would say you didn't write any of these, right? That's the weird thing is that like when we ask you for a policy position, like your job right now is running for Congress, and you're like, "Oh, I don't know. I guess." I don't know.
You asked like what policies do you believe in, and I listed a couple, but it's like. I mean, do you want me to list?
Well, like, no. So you're running for Congress in a particular district. Off the top of your head, you should be able to tell me at least 3 important policies that would impact your constituents that you talk about. No, you didn't. You gave me some vague, like Green New Deal. Is that really the most important thing to Wyoming voters in your district that you're going to be running for? Like, are these the 3 major policy? Like, you should at least know that to appeal to like if you do local gatherings or local speeches or whatever. I imagine you've got like rehearsed stuff or policy points that are really important to the people that are voting for you. But you're giving like these really vague Medicare for all, Green New Deal. I don't know. Like you've never even like thought about it before. Like when that guy asked you for your position on firearms, you literally just read off like the first thing on your site, community armory, create community armories. Like that's not a position on firearms. That's just the first policy point that somebody wrote for your site. Wait, so is it? So I'm actually curious. Are you just running as like a meme for Twitter, or what is the?
Joshua, so I'm a progressive, believe it or not, and I want to see progressive policy advanced, and I see us as having failed twice now. And, you know, you obviously have a vision and you have a different path forward. So how do you sell this vision, right? Like socialism, when you're knocking on doors or you're talking to your future constituents, like what is the pitch to them to sell what you're envisioning?
Well, I guess it depends on their interests. But, I mean, generally, I am fighting for the working class and unapologetically so. I don't hedge my bets, which means I don't like pander to like the landlord class. And in fact, I would consider I would describe myself as more antagonistic to the capitalist class. And
so when you're like, you know, if you're sitting down with like the Rotary Club or something like that, and you got a bunch of, you know, seniors in front of you, like, are they not in their head? Like, I'm curious, like, how does the progressive movement win? You know what I mean? I see you as a leader, somebody who's running for office and wants to be in Congress. So like,
yeah, what do you think? I wouldn't call myself a leader. I would say I'm more of a catalyst. If that makes sense.
A catalyst? What do you think about that?
Tries to get a ton of people to stop voting.
Oh, Jesus.
I actually haven't posted about the presidential primaries on social media. This is actually the first time I really talked about it in like I don't know, a few weeks now. So. I mean,
wait, I literally just checked immediately. I already see you tweeting things like Joe Biden's been real quiet since I posted like memes about you don't think Joe Biden will lose to Trump? That was a joke
about push-ups.
Okay, what about on March 4th you said Joe Biden will lose to Trump?
March 4th you said?
Yeah.
Oh, that was over a month ago.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I just heard you say you haven't tweeted anything regarding the election.
Oh, I said in a while. I don't know. Like.
Oh, okay. My bad. I didn't hear that part.
I'm generally being like, I guess shifting my focus, if that makes sense. I don't know. Like.
Yeah, I got you.
I'm not telling
it's
you.
All good.
I'm genuinely not advocating for what other people should vote for. I think you should vote for whoever you think you should, and if you want to vote for Biden, like, go ahead, knock yourself out. You want to vote for a third-party candidate? Wonderful.
Isn't your job as a politician?
I'm not.
Like, what is this like? People should vote for whoever you think they should. Shouldn't you be trying to convince people to vote for certain people? Isn't that like part of what you do as a politician? Like, I'm trying to imagine like a guy going on stage and it's like, listen up, guys, get out there and vote for who you want to vote for. Like, aren't you supposed to be making the argument for your side?
I mean, I think that's kind of the job of like people who are pushing to elect Biden. I don't know, like. I can make a case for
when
myself.
I see you running as a Democrat, that you're on the same party as him, and he is theoretically the head of the party if he runs for president.
I mean, but like I'm also trying to appeal to a lot of independents and stuff. So I don't know.
So then why not run as an independent?
Yeah.
I mean, so to be clear, Washington State, when you file for your candidacy, you can literally put whatever party you want next to your name, and that's what shows up on the ballot, and that's just how it works. The Democratic Party has no control over the primary. It's a free-for-all for the primary. Top 2 vote getters from any party affiliation move on to the general, which means you could have 2 Democrats, you could have 2 Republicans.
So you had full choice, and you
Yeah.
picked. And your reason that you are telling us that you picked what you picked is purely advantageous, purely numbers.
I mean, that's what Bernie did.
Is that also just like a
running an
Washington
election.
thing, though? Because we have to, like, we can't be too hard on
Bernie
him
did
because
something different, though. Bernie did something
It varies
different.
from state to
He
state,
went,
though.
He went from one very small third party to another slightly larger third party about 10 years later. I believe. I think I read his book recently enough. I don't know. And then, after a really long time running in third parties, he moved to a larger party that he knew could reach more people.
Well,
Bernie made it very clear that it was about reaching more people and about coming to a better consensus as the left.
Yeah, well,
I mean, if you want to talk
Doing
about
it purely
my
for
election
numbers
more,
feels very cold.
I mean, I still have support within the Democratic Party. And to be clear, when I initially started this election, I was challenging Congressman Denny Heck, conservative Democrat. He had $1.5 million, and by all expectations, he was going to run for re-election again. He announced he was dropping out and retiring, supposedly, after I had essentially consolidated support within the Democratic Party against him, because the Democratic voter base and the membership in Washington State is actually pretty progressive. When he announced he was dropping out, that dynamic changed significantly for me. There is still a giant electoral advantage for running as a Democrat. I mean, to be clear, but in the original scenario, honestly, I was probably going to pull an upset win against a guy, because the Democratic Party genuinely didn't support him. He's a Democrat who had endorsed a Republican, one of them who's actually now running for the 10th congressional district, and he was very unpopular and didn't have a lot going for him. So I think I guess that's some background on my race, and I statistically I'd probably have a better chance running against non-incumbents. So I mean I'm running against 9 people now, each of them with a fraction of the money that he had, and my base is essentially just young people and the left here, and independents. And if I run as an independent, there's a large number of people who would not consider voting for me at all. Period. Just a solid 5 to 10% of the voter base who just wouldn't even consider me. But if I run as a Democrat,
I have a question. When you talk to independents about, or if you have talked to independents about the idea of Biden and Trump, what is the feedback you usually receive from them if that conversation topic has come up? If not, never mind.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm currently not knocking doors because it's
Corona.
you're not allowed to. But but when I was knocking doors, I didn't really talk about the presidential election unless I was canvassing for Bernie. But I don't know, when I'm canvassing for myself, I just talk about my ideas, my policies, my background, my values, stuff like that. So I generally don't even talk about the presidential election. I mean, if someone wants to talk about who they're supporting, sure, but I found that I have a pretty easy time talking to Trump voters. So I mean, partially just because I'm a truck driver, but I think I get a lot of consideration that I wouldn't get if I was I don't know, a career politician. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure if you guys want me to keep talking about like my race, but yeah.
Okay, I have one more question. So when you talk about like, oh, you know, you're not going to tell people who they're going to vote for, if they want to vote for Donald Trump or Joe Biden, you're not going to vote for either of them. Do you see them as like equally the same amount of bad? Do you see like what do you see like in both candidates that makes you like indifferent to who people vote for there?
I think Joe Biden would be a degree like less bad than Donald Trump on like probably several issues. The long-term impact of that is something that we can't really like know, but I do think it would be negative, and I think it would hurt the left in general. I think it would hurt the movement like for progressive policies in general, and I think it would just have a lot of other negative impacts, I guess. I mean, I don't think he's going to win anyway, so I have to still clarify that. I genuinely think has like a very, very small chance of actually beating Donald Trump.
I'm not trying to attack. I really don't understand. Like, if you were somebody that's
no, I just got pissy a second ago because you said I don't expect you to know about that, and I thought it came off kind of rude. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm only being rude to Joshua because I hate that guy. I'm not being rude to you. Sorry if it sounds like I'm being rude to you. I'm not trying to be rude to you. Okay, my bad. I'm not trying to be rude to you.
Sure, I'll just make it real quick. My whole point isn't whether or not Joe Biden's going to sign legislation that Nancy Pelosi proposed. The point is that she's passed some pretty good stuff, and of course he's going to sign it. Any Democrat's going to sign anything Nancy Pelosi has passed, right? They're on the same page. So H.R. 1, renewing the Violence Against Women Act that everybody is so in love with, right? Bernie Sanders, woo! And tons of stuff. The Equality Act, for the first time, people on a federal level will not be discriminated against for their gender identity and sexual orientation, right? There's still states in this country where you can say I'm gay on Facebook and get fired the next day. So these are things that Joe Biden would sign. Like, how can you risk not having that right now? I don't get it.
Okay. Joshua, do you want to say anything?
Well, I think... I don't know, like, it feels kind of goofy to even have this conversation because I don't think Joe Biden's going to beat Donald Trump, so.
How's it goofy? Like,
I don't know,
Josh,
it's like,
you have to provide like input for us to.
To be fair, I'm really important to phrase the question like really shittily. Like, you need to be speaking in, is it 320 characters or less? Would like maybe help them follow the conversation a little better.
My bad.
Jeez, come on, man. Dude, I'm saying, like, I want to hear Joshua make a fucking argument. Like, I don't know what his
Leave
points
him alone.
No,
why beat up on him?
I'm not.
He's having fun. Look at him. He's having.
I want to know what his positions are, dude. Like,
why?
People that say they're on the left and they like don't have any positions. Like, this is why everyone thinks that people on the left are just a bunch.
What
of
are you talking about? I don't have positions. Like,
get him.
You vague post so hard, dude. You vague post so hard. You're always vague posting. Like, if you ask me right now, Melanie, do you believe in like the means of production, the abolishment of the state? I'll say hell yeah, brother. But if I ask you, you like give this weird answer about like, well, maybe I'll get rid of like private corporations.
You asked me for a specific policy. I just listed one. Like, but I don't know. Like,
why do you have to?
What do I actually believe in?
Do you want to read from your paper as a politician, or do you want to like tell us what you're passionate about? Like, I want to hear what you have to. Like, how do you talk to people on the campaign trail?
I should probably also mention this. Like, I am autistic, so I like.
Okay.
Oh my god!
If I'm going too hard on you,
I have a very linear way of like, you know, speaking. Like, if you ask me for a specific policy, I'm going to give you a specific policy.
I'm sorry, but as somebody that has autistic friends, no, that's a huge cop-out. Autistic doesn't mean you're not capable of understanding your policy.
It doesn't mean I'm not capable, but when you ask,
that is such a cop-out.
No, okay, whoa. I got. Whoa, okay.
Don't even pull that card. Don't pull that I have a friend card.
Whoa.
Hold on, no.
I'm literally gonna mute everybody 1 second.
Autism can't talk about policy.
No. Destiny, you literally misunderstood. He said, whoa, okay, I'm cutting in.
Question, I take it very literally. I don't know. Like,
yeah, no.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm Team Joshua here.
I'm cutting in. Yeah.
Get him, Josh.
Like lefties get shit on for like being weird, like stutter talkers that can't deliver points. So when I asked you a question and you like sort of like just read a, it's like a meme.
I didn't read. I don't know.
I don't know. Like lefties get shit on Twitter.
You asked me for like
I
a
feel
socialist
like Josh is like
policy,
most leftist,
and I'm like,
and
I answered. I mean, like I can go into like detail about like what I think the path towards actually, building this movement and building the socialist movement and actually really changing the country. I can go into that.
What's your plan? Like, what do you
want
to do?
I mean, right now in this particular moment, I think a big part of like building up the movement is the movement for like rent strikes and actually having people. Yeah, he's laughing, but
what's your pitch?
What's your pitch
for Destiny?
Wow, stop laughing, Destiny.
I'm not,
He's given his position.
I'm
you're
not.
laughing.
I'm so sorry. That's
incredible.
No, go ahead. What did you want to say?
What do you want to say, Destiny?
Well, if you want to talk about building an effective socialist movement in the United States, there's like 50 million different routes that we can go. Here's one. How about winning the election with Biden? How about establishing a majority in the House and the Senate? And then how about using the Justice Dems, which is a large faction within the Democratic Party, building up a voter base there that can hold like votes ransom, kind of like the Freedom House Caucus did, the really extreme conservative movement of the Republican Party in the House, and then you use that to slowly build on like little reforms that get people more interested in socialist policies in the United States. I hate socialism, but that's one idea off the top of my head for building like a socialist coalition.
Happened, though.
Sorry?
Are you going to participate in the rent strike?
I mean, I'm helping organize rent strikes. I mean, are you familiar with the rent strike 2020? Like, am I personally going to strike?
Yeah, are you personally going to rent strike?
Well, I have a single landlord, and so it's one guy that owns my house. So I don't know.
What? Hey, man,
how many landlords do you think are just single people or small business owners? Do you think every landlord is just this evil big Scrooge, like horrible, like?
Well, I mean, rent strikes are about organizing, like building like a complex or like a building level or a single owner who owns multiple properties. Well, I'm helping organize. I mean, are you familiar with Rent Strike 2020? Like,
I'm not.
Probably seen them anywhere. Okay, well, I mean, what I did was I started a petition effort, kind of modeling it off of the LFS movement, and nationwide, we got several million signatures within a few days, and we've been using that to like actually like support movements for localized rent strikes. It's like rent striking isn't just not paying your rent; it's organizing like against a specific owner that like you can actually achieve a goal with. Like, I mean, that's what that is about. And then on top of that, building like a cohesive movement that also advocates for workers' rights and actually can support wildcat strikes and like actually help unions actually take hold in places where they currently aren't.
That's awesome.
It's like a. I mean, this is a moment we're in. Like, that's like what I'm talking about. Like, this isn't just at any point in time. Rent strikes are like the movement or like the move, but like in this particular moment, I think that is like one path that seems very clear. Using that to build up the socialist movement in general, and building power and actually achieving things, and demonstrating the ability to actually succeed in a non-electoral way. But I mean. And that's like my purpose is like to use my platform to support those efforts on top of like being like if I get into Congress I'll be a reliable vote, but it's also about like using my platform to support like the movement in general, to bring people into the movement, to make sure that there are resources being given and that there are like that knowledge is being shared, because that's like one big thing is like a lot of people don't even know the basics of organizing, like or how to run an effective campaign for anything, like not just an office, but like a non-electoral campaign as well. Like, I mean, this is stuff that I work on a lot. Like the rent strike 2020 movement. Like, I mean, you can look it up on like just Google rent strike 2020 and it'll bring a bunch of articles up, and that's something that I personally
Is it on TikTok?
They're on a like we have a social media on every platform, but we also we have a very effective email program. So yeah, it's fun.
I love TikTok.
Yeah, I mean TikTok is also a big part of like what I'm doing is I've recruited a large number of volunteers, and brought a lot of people who previously weren't in politics like almost at all, and got them involved in my campaign and the DSA and Socialist Alternative and Climate Strike and all that, other organizations. Running, like, so you keep on saying you're against electoral politics, and I just want to make it clear, the purpose of electoral politics is for it to be an arm of the movement. It's not for, like, you're not going to do a socialist revolution with a congressional seat, but you can support a movement and like be a catalyst for conversations and polarize the electorate in ways that you can't do as just a person with no like spotlight or platform. And I think that's like important. I mean, that's part of my vision is to be that lightning rod, I guess. And then a big I guess an immediate sign of like how my strategy does succeed is it pisses off people like Destiny.
Why are you picking on Destiny like that?
Oh,
no, I'm just saying it's
thought we weren't gonna pick on people.
I'm like controversial and antagonistic, and it's going to, like, I don't know, just makes people mad and generally forces a conversation.
I get really mad when people are totally clueless about all of their positions and all of their platform and have no idea about anything. It does make me mad.
Josh is only running on his platform that he is on currently because of numbers, which I found cold. So we've got cold, we've got calculating, we've got antagonistic. Please.
Well, at the end of the day,
we're not.
Wait a second. I'm
having fun.
Yeah, no, I want to point out.
I hate you. I'm really important. I hate you the most in this conversation. I just want you to know that.
Oh my god.
No.
Just that's because you're getting wrecked over there. That's why.
Well, I wasn't trying to insult you. I was just like, I don't know. It was just. So.
What do you think is the worst thing about Biden?
The worst thing. I mean, for me, I think like the way he touches people. I mean, that makes me not like him personally. He makes my skin crawl. But like, that's me as a person who doesn't like being touched in general. So.
He apologized for that. And he said it's something he's going to work on and stop. And he apologized for that actually a while ago.
A lot of
I'm not saying that she should have filed, but there's a lot of reasons why a woman, especially somebody working in politics, wouldn't file a report of sexual harassment. Sure, but the fact of the matter is, women have come out saying that Joe Biden has been involved in like creepy kind of touching, and there was a culture of a lot of women coming out saying he doesn't respect personal space. So much so that I'm really important here said that Biden has actually put out official statements saying I'm going to change this behavior. So many people were coming out about this. There are still reasons why women might not report it, but. Man, that's a rough one. That's way too paper thin for me to be like, oh yeah, he's definitely a rapist.
Yeah, it's a rough one. That's why we're having this discussion, is because people who have been through this sort of thing and people who really put moral stakes on who they vote for are having a hard time wrapping their head around this issue.
So I could be wrong, and I'll take the L here if it offends any of you. I don't believe that anybody that really cares about rapists is having an issue with this, because the answer is clearly to vote against the guy that is on tape admitting that he uses his position of power to rape women. I think that anybody that genuinely cares about having a rapist in the White House has a very, very, very easy vote here for Biden, even if there is one allegation out there. Like, it's so easy. I wouldn't have to think twice about it. But
no, it's a matter of abstaining. It's the third choice is abstaining, Destiny.
And if you
trying to get people to not abstain and to actually go out and vote for your candidate is what the non-Bernie or bus side of this panel is supposed to be about.
I have plenty of like friends that I know that have gone through like those traumatic experience themselves, and to them it kind of is hard because they when they're looking at it through the lens of being like a sexual assault victim, they think, okay, I believe Biden sexually assaulted her, and yes, Trump has more sexual assaults like that have come forward, but then again, as I stated before, to these people, the whole lens that they're looking at through is like, holy shit, any person who has a sexual assault or rape allegation against them in a position of power is going to continue doing that. So I understand where you're coming from when you say, well, like, what's the point of talking about this? Like, there's so many other issues to care about, which I agree. I care about a lot of other issues. But I don't think it's really fair to say, oh, these people are, like, too far gone, or these people, like, you shouldn't, like, try to talk to them about anything else, because that's already done and over with. But that's just my opinion, I guess.
I mean, you're third personing, but you got me right here. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna vote or not because both of them are rapists. I believe both of them are rapists.
Me too.
And I would love to have a definitive position. I would love to come out of this and be like, yes, I'm definitely voting for Biden.
I mean, honestly, I just think Joe Biden's a pretty shitty person, and I think, like, personally, I don't want to have anything to do with helping get him elected. I don't want to, like, if this guy starts another fucking war, or just expands, like, you know, our general foreign policy that's really aggressive, or, you know, let's say we actually, you know, increase the number of bombs we're dropping, increase the number of civilians we're killing, or just stay at the same. I mean, like, I don't want to have a hand in that. Like, I don't want that to be someone that I helped put in office, and I certainly am not going to go fucking canvass for him, let alone like vote for him. I think he's a shit person with bad ideas and bad policies, and any good that he does, I think he's going to do way more fucking bad. I think he's going to do lasting damage. I think he's going to erode our freedoms. I think that's a lot of stuff that, you know, is going to happen under both presidents. But I think that he'll have an easy time passing things that otherwise would be difficult for a Republican to get through. You know, would he cut Social Security? Possibly. Will he say that he's not going to? Probably. But I don't believe a damn word he says. I think he's a liar. I think he has a long history of just, you know, being a career politician who will say what he needs to say to get elected. And frankly, I don't even think he's like all there right now. I think that's like the biggest thing.
Yelling at his supporters.
Yeah, I mean, he's literally oh my God, if I did like any of the shit that this guy's done, like I would just be done. Like if I don't know, it's so fucking wild to me that like he's such a shit person, and on top of that, like where's the like?
How could he win you over though? John?
Like where's the? How could he win me over?
Yeah, what could he do to win you over? There's got to be
something. Conceding me on basically every policy. Like honestly, not every single policy. But
then he's still gonna be a
like,
shitty person.
Serious major ones. And then also like like I would need like commitment to like who he's gonna put on his cabinet, and I would need those people to not be people who are like at all sympathetic to his ideas.
So what about like Nina Turner? Like Nina Turner, you would want on the cabinet?
Yeah, Nina Turner. Put fucking like any real leftist like in there, and like make serious commitments to that stuff. You know, go on record as like I will not just sign Medicare for all into law if it comes across me, push it through. Like, right. I mean, that's something that like I don't
about
have
the personal stuff? By the way.
Like I just.
What about the personal stuff? How would he win you over? Because he's still gonna be a liar and all that, right?
I mean, that's that's why I would need to see like serious fucking commitment to like just any of it. Like no small concessions. I don't give a fuck about small concessions because he's not gonna even stick to them anyway. Like I don't know. Like what is this guy gonna actually do? I don't fucking know. But I would need to see serious commitment to those things, and that means like actually picking a serious progressive like vice president. Like putting like
who would your dream vice?
Putting certain people.
Who's the dream vice president candidate? Who would win you over with that?
I mean, I don't even think he would even choose Warren. I think he's going to pick someone who's like probably to his right. Like I don't know, like, and even then, like I don't know who he's going to pick, and I don't know who's on the table. People are saying Warren's on the table, but I don't fucking think she is. And like, I don't know, like, who is even on their short list? Because like, as far as I know, like Warren's. Klobuchar.
But would Warren be cool? Would you be cool if he picked Warren?
I think that would be a way better decision than anyone else. I think it would make the case better for like electing him, despite how shitty of a person he is. I mean,
you don't like him at all.
No, I think he's an awful person. I mean, I feel like this.
Did you hate him this much? Did you hate him this much when he was vice president too?
I didn't even know who the fuck he was when he was vice president. Like I saw the memes of him with Obama and thought he was like this cutesy old guy, and find out like he just got the worst record, a terrible personality, like actually has done bad things in his personal life. Like I don't know, like I'm not perfect. No one's fucking perfect, but Jesus, he's fucking awful.
True.
Like
that's fair.
You know what? I think I've decided what it would take for him to get past the moral allegations. Because, like I said, I think this has been a very helpful past couple of however long we've been here, hours, as far as my qualms about his general electoral politics. I think it's been fantastic for that. I think if he wasn't a rapist, I would vote for him. Now, if he was to come forward in a much more public platform, in a much more targeted campaign, wherein he said, I realize that this is something that somebody has accused me of. I realize that this is something that people have come forward and said I have a problem with. I have reached out to the people who have accused me of this, and I have personally apologized. And I would love to go ahead and push forward. Maybe he could even make it like an issue of his campaign. Push forward, making it, making something more easy to, I don't know.
Yeah,
something generally really, like feminist. Insert
that would be good. I just don't think he's capable of it. I don't think he's like even remotely gonna.
I think like reaching right there. I'm just saying that's what it would take to have me officially 100% on his side.
Okay. That sounds good.
Well, I want to just say to Johnny, I totally understand if you don't want to vote for him because you've looked at the evidence and in sincerity, whatever you've read, and you decided, look, I believe that he committed this act, and therefore, for me personally, I can't do it. And there's probably a lot of people out there like that, right? I can't force you to think differently about him if that issue is so big to you, right? And it is a big deal. So far, we've only heard from a deputy campaign manager saying he denies the allegations. But I don't think this goes away. I think in this time where a lot of women are sexually assaulted, I think it's like 1 in 4 women will be sexually assaulted or something, and in some way harassed or something. And I think this is a big issue that needs a lot more attention from Joe Biden, right? So I'm with you on that. And, people are going to have to make their own personal decisions. But, to go around with the rhetoric that this man's a rapist when he denies it and we haven't, you know what I mean? It's still flushing itself out. I think it's kind of finding a reason not to vote for him. You know what I mean? Because you don't know him. You've never met him. You only see an image of him on television. And same thing with Josh. Like, Joshua said he hates him, but you never met him. So, like, you just have this idea of him, right? So maybe if something will change that for you in the future, right? So I think you have to leave yourself a little open to that at the very least, right? And that's why I asked.
Exactly why I'm here as a middle of the ground person. I believed coming into this with good faith that there would be more information because I'm only one person. I can only do so much research. There is more information out there that I don't have. And I think it's fantastic that we get to come on here. It's a free country. We get to say our piece about who we're going to vote for and who we're not. I want a reason to not abstain. And so I came on this chat. The fact that I'm being weaselly and saying I don't really want to vote for a rapist over and over again must be really hard, and I'm sorry.
If that's the conclusion you've drawn from the evidence that you've read. Nope, he hasn't been charged with rape. So what do you mean? He's not a rapist. Like, how is he a rapist?
I don't know. I believe it.
Okay.
You have every right to come to your conclusion on that, and nobody has a right to criticize you for that. If you don't vote for him because of that, because of just what you know right now, I would never hold that against you.
Okay, I feel like Destiny disagrees. Do you want to?
Oh, I wouldn't hold it against him either. That's great. Ship the Hispanics out, decrease all the taxes, man. I'll make a ton more money. A lot of the business tax credit deductions that just went through are amazing for me. I don't have health insurance this year. I'm not getting penalized for it. Doesn't impact me. I'm young. I'm white. I make a fuck ton of money on Twitch. I'm actually cool. If Trump wins another presidency, it benefits me in the end. So fuck it. I don't care. Like things like abortion or whatever, that doesn't really impact me. Things like trans people in the military, like at the end of the day, it doesn't impact me. What we do in relation to like Medicaid or Medicare expansions, which Trump has like vetoed across several states, that doesn't impact me either. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I guess I don't really care one way or another, like who makes it, whether it's Trump or Biden. So
that was not helpful.
Okay, that was an experience.
This was one of the worst experiences that I've ever
Wait, I'm still streaming. I'm still live.
In my entire life. I can't believe that you did this.
I'm so sorry I ruined everything for you.
I tried so hard. I want you to know how much of a friend I view you, because I tried so hard not to lose it today on that Joshua guy, okay? This guy shitposts on Twitter so much, okay? Oh my god. I'm sorry. Okay. I love it. Oh, I appreciated oh, Melanie already left, sorry. Okay, good luck. Bye. I hate all of you though. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for inviting me on, dude.
No problems.
All right. Bye.